He's still laughing. I'm starting over again.
Sorry.
Oh no!
Okay.
All
Wait.
right.
We could use this recording, but I just had to tell the audience what happened before we started this one. Matt, Matt was trying to do an intro because we're talking about Ballerina, and in the most high pitched voice possible, he starts singing the lyrics to Tiny Dancer, and his voice cracked. So I just wanted you all to know that's what happened.
My voice my voice too tough. I can't sing that high. Roll that damn song. What you talking about?
Cinestro called the cast. It's your weekly gold mine. Stay tuned in. Stay tuned in. They got the beats, got those comic spins. I stay tuned in. Stay tuned.
I think that might be my
Black is
favorite
back.
intro. My favorite
That-
intro after the Dune one.
Yeah, that's a top fiver. That's the top fiver.
This one's up there. This one's up there. Dancing to the top of our list. Speaking of dancing, we're talking
Mm,
about Ballerina from the world of John Wick. No, we're not talking about actual ballet dancers. We're talking about stone cold killers, assassins,
indeed.
hitmans, and hitwomen's. Let's like
And
jump right into it, man.
let me just
Oh no.
oh my god, not this. Do we have to be added to every picture, or is this the only picture we have? Please tell me this is the only picture we have. Otherwise, we got to go through every single last one.
It's only two pictures.
Okay, there we go. I'm back. Let's fucking go. Okay, but anyway, the story of this, before whatever just happened, is set during the events of I think this is John Wick 4, bet around that.
Three. I
3?
think it's three. Isn't that Parabolum?
No, because 4 isn't 4 the one where he goes to actually do the challenge and he has to belong to a tribe and he gets it burned off his back.
I guess it's in between three and four.
So it seems like in between the events of 3 and 4, like about around that. Actually, yeah, because it's a couple months later, so it's a little bit of so the first part of this movie takes place around John Wick 3,
Mm-hmm.
and then it goes into 4. But basically, this lovely lady played by Anna de Armas is named Eve. Eve is a
Eve
small child,
Macaro.
Eve Macaro, whose father was killed, and she seeks vengeance and does a whole bunch of John Wick assassin related things in order to get that vengeance.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're cautious about spin-off films, but this one I thought was pretty good,
I
and I
agree.
stand by that.
I agree 100%. I was very hesitant because I was like, John Wick films hold a certain, how you say, bar.
Mhm.
There's a certain
The level
expectation
of
going into a
quality,
John Wick
yeah.
film. Yeah, and it's you. Of course, you're expecting a certain amount of action, which is like 90% action, 10% story. And this film did not miss any of those. It did not miss on any of those fronts. It delivered the way it's
Mhm.
supposed to deliver. Anna's a solid action star. Um, it was wild seeing Norman Reedus in there for like 5 minutes just to
I
shoot a
didn't know he
shotgun,
was in here at all. I
bro.
I was I was mad confused. I saw him pop up in the cast list when I Googled it, and I was like,
Hmm.
"Oh, man, he's probably gonna be a real significant character." And then when his
No,
scene came and went, I was like, "Y'all paid him, like, what, by the hour? Got paid $35 and a hot meal? Why is he just here?"
they slid him. They slid him a gift card to Chili's and said, "Appreciate you, pimp," and sent him on his
Yeah.
merry way. It
They
was
got
so
Keanu
random.
they got Keanu money, but they're like, "We don't have Reedus dollars." The Walking Dead's been on for 30 years, dude. We have nothing.
They did have Ian McShane, and then my goat, R.I.P. Lance Reddick, my goat legend in this film. I think this is his final film role, unless there's more stuff being released. I'm not sure. But it was overall a well-rounded cast. Angelica Huston back again as a director. Solid film. It's definitely one I would watch more than once in the theater. But since we're watching like 82 films this month, gotta be picky and choosy. You know what I'm saying? Gotta save them funds because we don't get paid for this job. Contrary to popular belief, we are not being paid for this podcast yet. Eventually. So until then, please Cash App, Zelle, money order us. help us fund our love for film. But no, back to the movie. Uh, what were your thoughts on like the action, the pacing of this film?
Well, now that I've finally finished fighting my light pole, let me tell you, I liked this a lot. I thought that this was actually pretty solid. I would say I can't rank it amongst the John Wick films because for only really one reason, and that's just because it feels like a film that what a lot of spin-off films do is they'll just take like the existing lore of something and instead of making like an actual spin-off for it, they'll kind of just name drop a couple of things that happen in the world and it doesn't feel as fleshed out. Kind of just feels like they're remaking the same movie with like the same little bits of lore and everything. But with this, it felt like it was actually built into an established world. And I think that's not only just lending strength to like how we got four John Wick films of great, amazing quality that really fleshed out this concept, right? But compared to something like The Continental, I feel like this really effectively used a lot more of the attributes of the world of John Wick, including like the different hotels, the assassin societies. We get some more background into their histories, and I thought that was a really good bit of lore. I thought a lot of this was a really good fleshing out overall of the world of John Wick.
100% agreed. Expanded the John Wick, the Wiccaverse way better than the Continental. I haven't even watched the
No one
Continental yet because
has.
everyone told me
The
it's
people
not
who made
good.
it haven't seen it.
They
It's not great.
said don't worry about it. Just glaze over that. But
Yeah.
Ballerina came out and saved the day. Um, I do expect a sequel because you know how it goes, bro. Box office hit. It's not a bad story. They're gonna greenlight a sequel. They need some more Wickiverse content,
Mhm.
Wickiverse material, if you will. They said they're gonna make a John Wick 5. I don't understand how it's gonna go, so I'm
They're
wondering
gonna
if
dig
she'll be
up
involved.
Keanu Reeves' corpse and they're gonna Weekend at Bernie's it the whole thing, but he's gonna do
Oh
all the same
Jesus.
action. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is lore accurate. This is actually things that's gonna happen. And he's gonna come back from the dead and he's gonna be like, you just got your candle put out by
That's not
Mr.
a
Wick,
thing.
and
That's
then
not a
he's gonna
thing
then he's
John Wick
gonna
says.
then he's gonna Tokyo Drift, and his pit bull is gonna talk in the sequel as well.
This sounds like the plot of Big Mouth.
This sounds actually no. This is probably what Big Bass would make for a John Wick parody.
This sounds like
That
the plot
actually
of Big
sounds like
Mouth.
what they would do. But
This is
all
gonna
in
come back.
all, all in all, okay. When it came to this movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it has to do a lot of setup, and it's 2 hours and 6 minutes. Do you
Mm-hmm.
feel that 2 hours is used effectively? Because I don't. Some parts of it, I
Mm,
did find the urge to check my watch and see like how much time had passed.
usually with a movie that's longer than an hour and 30 minutes, I end up starting to check my watch.
Mm.
This one
Mm.
was one of those films. Was the 2 hours and 6 minutes used properly? Some of it could have been shaved off. I think some of it could have been shaved off, but it's
What would you say could have been shaded off, like trimmed a little bit? What do you think specifically?
maybe I guess maybe the training sequence a little bit, and then some of the like
Hmm.
deals of her just kind of walking around and talking to people. Because like the training sequence, we already know what it's like being an assassin in this universe, bro. You're gonna have to be some kind of
Yeah.
skill. So they could have just they could have cut to from her going to meet the director to like the 12 years or however many years later, and just go right into the story. Um, there's, but it's not like bad points. That's the thing. It's not like it's a wasted use of time. It's just it could have been just trimmed a little bit shorter. It's not
Yeah.
like an MCU film where there's 2 hours of whatever going on, and it's literally 2 full hours from
Mhm.
start to end of all types of shit happening.
Yeah, it kinda
No,
had like a tunnel vision, like an actual I get not a focus, like a purpose, I guess, more so.
hmm
Like it justified a little bit of the bloat, but bloat is still at the end of the day bloat. It's still a little much. I think also what could have been shaved off a little bit, right? I feel like you don't have to do two different takes of her at the police station holding the ballet thing, right?
Yeah.
And then go into her origin and then go back to where Wilson gets her from the police station.
Hmm.
I feel I feel like that's a bit much, because I feel like our point got across. It's kinda like if they trimmed the, training section just a little bit, right? And then they went to that Ice, 11 Below nightclub scene, right? And then they did the 2 months later where it's, like, all those dead guys and it shows how much she's progressed. I feel like it
Hmm.
would've flowed a little bit better, but certain scenes felt like they had to have these duplicates to kinda really hammer home the point, and the point was pretty simple to understand. So in that aspect, a little bit, eh. Also, speaking of
Could
a
have
little
been
bit,
reduced.
because this is a John Wick movie, and it is very strongly put in a, franchise that we didn't think needed any spinoffs really, kinda just could've been its own thing and
Kept
still
going
been
on.
fine.
Hmm.
But with that aside, do you think, and this is entirely based off of how you felt about it. Do you think that the inclusion of Mr. Wick was needed? Like, was it necessary? Do you think she coulda just that Eve coulda led this movie by herself with just her plot?
Yes, I think yes and no. So yes, she should have let it herself. Past meeting John Wick with the director when it comes in from the tail end of John Wick 3 and the start of her story, that part is it's fine. It's not unnecessary. It makes sense. He's there. She's there training. She sees him. She's like, oh my god, it's the Baba Yaga. It's the famed boogeyman, the master assassin. Blah blah blah. That part makes sense. And then of course, seeing him there at the start when she's going into her own assassin stuff. I don't even know what word to use. Her own assassin stuff, and sees him again one last time. Of course, having the director send John Wick after her, maybe that could have been different. Um, I feel like at that point he was kind of just shoehorned in. Didn't really matter that he was. It was like unnecessary. It felt a little unnecessary because it's like, hey, this is a film set in the John Wick universe. Also, here's John Wick, who is in the John Wick universe in the movie John Wick. In the John Wick universe, all right, bro, we get it. He's here.
It
We
really,
understand.
yeah, kinda beat the dead horse a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it was
that's
cool because
understandable.
he helped her out a little bit while she was trying to fight the flamethrower. That flamethrower seems badass.
That flamethrower scene, okay,
It was like
what
the
would
the, the dragon's breath shotgun scene in the fourth movie.
what would you say is the best sequence of, like, a fight in this movie? Because, with the John Wick movie, right, there's things you expect, right?
Hmm.
There's shoot a guy a bunch of times and then occasionally punch him. There's throw a bunch of things at a guy. There's using, like, something that's not a weapon as a weapon, like, I will oh, speaking of using a weapon, like, for instance, this
The
movie, I
gun
I will
knife.
say uses the gun knife is good, but those are both very much weapons. A gun and a knife are, like, base level weapon. I mean, this movie does what I would say is, like, have a lot more humor than the other John Wick,
Yes,
because it is definitely funnier. There's a point
the
where,
gun knife.
Norman Reedus's character is up in, like, a continental, like, somewhere in the world, I forgot where the fuck it is,
Frog.
but he's got a bounty on in Prague, yeah. He's got a bounty on him for, like,
That
a
shit was
couple
cool.
million, and then they up it to, like 10 million or, like, some outrageous number, and then since the rules are don't try to kill people in the Continental, when the money's on the line, they're like, "I could probably get in and out before this is really a problem.
Mhm.
Why not?" And it always is a problem, and so they go 2 assassins go up there, and while Eve is trying to just casually talk to Norman Reedus's character and get, like, the information out of him, the other 2 assassins burst in the room and they start a fight, and she gets a TV remote, and every time she hits the assassin lady that she's fighting, it changes the channel in the background
Mhm.
until it goes to that old, what is it? Uh, Buster Kennedy or whatever that old stunt guy's name is,
When
where
he's
it's
going, the
like,
house is falling.
yeah, where the
Mhm.
front of the house falls down and he goes to, like, the eye of a needle, basically, like, where he goes to the house window. This is a crazy way to display this with my hands, but you get the idea. But but there's moments like that, or like where a
Happy
guy will just
Pride.
randomly get shot in the face, or just like happy pride, just like little funny just bits of humor that are interjected with it.
They did up the gore a little bit too,
Oh yeah,
and that guy's
oh
face
yeah.
blew up. I was like, oh, I was like, oh shit, oh. I think I physically said, oh shit, wasn't
I
expecting
like
that.
how I like how John Wick is like a precision killer, and
Yeah,
then I laughed really fucking hard when I saw her use the gun, and she wasn't like super great with it, right? But the moment she found a box of grenades, she's like,
just to watch this.
"Me thinks this is a good idea." She said, "Watch this." Like,
Bro,
dude, she is
also
using this shit like a noob tube in Call of Duty. She is fucking hitting people with these grenades. It's crazy.
that scene, the scene prior to the grenade battle, when she was talking to the gunsmith, and he said, "Let me be frank," and it pans down to his name tag. I was like, "That's funny. That shit's funny, bro. Shit like that makes me
I'm
laugh. It's so
upset at how
stupid."
hard that made me laugh, dude. There were people in my theater who were kind of chuckling, but I let out like a vicious black cackle. It was bad.
I was the
It
same way. I
was.
said, "Boy, what the
I was in
hell?"
there like, yeah, like I was, I was off it. I
It
thought that was
was
the funniest thing.
that
I
shit was
also like
hilarious.
how I also like how they kind of usually see it as be seen as a line to your audience, but they subvert your expectations pretty well with certain things. Like
Hmm.
there's the moment where they're in that same shop, that wilderness shop, and you're expecting like just the typical John Wick thing of these are my guns. My guns are good. They shoot well. This thing hits someone
Hmm.
really hard. This shoots bombs. This shoots ghosts or whatever the fuck, right? And like 2 guns deep, bro just gets shot in the fucking hand.
Yeah,
Everything
he just
goes
went.
south.
He
After
was, he was like, if you're hunting big game, here's this, here's this. All of a sudden, he's getting fucking lit up. I was like, what?
and then he just leaves her. He's like, "Listen,
Can't do
I'm
it.
out. This
Hand
this
blown
this
up. Hand blown
we're
up. Can't do
closed.
it,
We're closed. I lost a hand, bro. I'm done." Also, that whole sequence she does with the grenades and just using a belt full of them. When
bro.
she
She
what okay,
tied it around that dude's neck and pulled it over the table. I was like, he's gone. He was vaporized.
an
Also,
exploding RKO was not on my list of things to see in this movie. I swear to God, I was about to like look up and tell the person in the projector room, like, bro, rewind that, bro. I gotta see
yeah,
that again.
yeah, circle that back
It's so cool.
because like wouldn't grenades also like at that close of a proximity? Shouldn't she be blown up too?
It's the thing is
Or
with
is it like
movies, right? If you
do I
don't
have to
get
suspend my
directly hit by
belief?
something, suspend your belief. That's really it. Because the way that she was using some of those grenades should not have been as effective as it was, especially if she's that the multiple times her ears were ringing and she had tinnitus, she should actually be deaf. Like her eardrums
Blood
should
should
be
be coming out
shattered.
of her ears, but yeah, no, two
Yeah.
like 10
But it
grenades
gets
in
it
like the
gets
first
very
2 minutes.
hyper real.
And I
I
was like,
think
there's no way.
I'm trying to think what was the most like hyper real where I was like, all right, we might be dragging it, but this is also kind of cool. I think it was whenever we got to the flamethrower scene, that whole sequence I thought was really cool.
Hmm.
But the moment I think where I was like, all right, I don't know if that actually works is the pressure hose.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Where I was like, there for those of you who don't know, which if you don't know, I
Now
guess
you know.
spoilers for Ballerina, but
You got a
the
week
the
to watch the
point
movie.
where the point where there's a point where they have like a Dragon Ball Z beam clash, and it's like
Hmm.
the guy has a flamethrower. This like evil Dolph Lundgren looking motherfucker has one, and she's like got like a pressure hose, like one of those old timey fire hoses that are in buildings, and she's like fucking walking him down basically as they have like this fire versus water, Ozai versus Aang fucking beam clash, and I was just like, all right, this is a bit much, and then John Wick also shoots the tank off of the guy, which is what I was really hoping would happen the whole time. I was waiting for somebody to shoot the tank of the flamethrower. That's all I wanted. That's
Simple
and now
solutions, man.
oh
It's like in
god.
Indiana Jones when they were fighting and that dude was swinging the sword around. Indy just
Oh
shot him and
yeah.
walked off. I was like,
It's
it's
just like,
simple.
bro, I don't have the time for this. What are you doing? Just skedaddles.
No, bro.
Also, you know what? There's another thing. I as much as I have like a bunch of positives for this movie, like the action sequence with the gun knife, I thought that was rad. I thought that was just really fucking dope. Uh, and also I found it funny whenever she got there and was like, "I'm not gonna hurt you" to the baker, and the baker was like, "I am gonna hurt you though. That's going to happen." And then they start
Die.
beating the shit out of each other. The plates where it just
This
turns
man.
into like a Mel Brooks skit for no reason. This, for those of you that if you recall the scene that you love from the John Wick franchise, uh, where they have a series of knives and they are throwing them back and forth, and it feels really tense because you're like, oh my god, these are fucking knives, right? Even though there's a comedic amount of knives, you're like, those are knives. And there's a point where they are falling on the ground and like they're kind of like scuttling like two greased up fucking slugs trying to stand or something. And there's a pile of plates, of dinner plates, and the chef and Eve are just bashing each other over the head one by one. It's like, I get a plate and then bash. I get a plate and then bash. And it is so funny and fucking stupid.
It
Where I
reminds
was
me
just like,
of the scene in, I think, in John Wick 2 when him and Common are shooting at each other with the suppressors on.
with the silencer, it was like,
Silence, yeah, just, and they're walking up and down this hallway. I'm like, bro, this is so this is
bro.
dumb.
But what I love about that scene too is there's a point where I think it's like either Common or like John like looks up and he's just like, he's like, why don't you fucking hold still? He's like, why don't you fucking get shot? Just like talking with only their faces. And it's great.
It's a
Speaking speaking of
great
speaking
trope
of
to
which,
bring back.
while we're on tropes and
Mm.
themes and whatnot, there's this thing that I thought was like a nice parallel that I don't think they really did enough with. Where they were taking like John and how he's trying to get out of the game, right? Like how he just wants to live a peaceful life and how that's what her father wanted for her, and how this life of assassins, even though it might look cool, is actually very dangerous and is not very good for your health, right? And living a type of life where you have some semblance of peace or normalcy. But the thing that I thought wasn't very well illustrated was that point where they're like, "Are you ready to finish your training?" And it's like the final step, and they get that one girl and they bring her over, and it. Okay, how do I explain this? They basically have one of their other agents that they had that was out in the field, and they have her basically cuffed to the end of the table, and at the other end of the table is Eve, and there's a series of pieces of a pistol that they have to assemble with one bullet to kill the other in order to basically, make it out of the situation alive. And because she's like a former member of the Romani, she's like, "Oh, you think you won't be in my position someday? Oh, well, guess what? I'm a test. This is where they're gonna put you someday. How do you like them apples? That sounds pretty fucking bad for you, right? Well, no, 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 no." And I thought that was really cool to show, like, how disposable these assassins are, and granted, somewhat begrudgingly, it seems like the director sends John Wick after her to kill her, so that should illustrate, further, "Oh, this is disposable, person. This is an expendable asset," right? I just feel like they didn't really bring that back around very well at all, and I'm so glad that Matt is back because I've been kinda yapping in circles for quite a while, and I have no idea what to say next.
My apologies. I
Okay, what happened?
I had to get hydrated. Feeling a little parched.
Real,
Had to
real.
get me a drink that was 11 below. Cold. That was terrible. That might be the
You
worst
know
one.
nah. You know what is terrible, though? You know that, through line that they're trying to have where it's like the world of these assassins is bad? I'm gonna have
Mm.
Luis just edit out everything that I said prior to this, so that way this seems like a cohesive transition. But
Dang, I was
there's a
gone that
point
long.
where there's a point where they bring that one former Romani girl
Mm.
all beat up and bloodied for her test, like for her final thing to see like whether or not
The girl who plays
she's
Yukio
yeah
in Logan.
and yeah her.
She she also plays
She's also
Katana
in
in Suicide Squad, right?
yeah, I think so, and I think she's
This is
also in
Katana.
she's in Days of Future. No, in the Wolverine, not
In the
Logan, the
Wolverine, yeah,
Wolverine.
not Logan, my
Yeah,
bad. The
yeah,
Wolverine. The one
yeah,
before
yeah,
Logan.
yeah. Yeah. And I remember, like, while I was watching it, I felt like that through line wasn't really wrapped very well, right? Because, like, it just seemed like they didn't bring back that aspect of how disposable you are to these
Hmm.
organizations. But it felt weird how begrudging the director was with setting John Wick. Like, I felt like she shouldn't have been that compelled or that motivated. Like, if they're trying to communicate how cold and callous this world is, she should have just been like, all right, fuck it. I'll just send somebody after her. And then a good chunk of the movie could have also been John Wick pursuing her. So that way, you have that dangling thread of John Wick or like somebody's like right on her heels and John Wick doesn't feel as forced at the end. I feel like that could have worked a little bit better. But I don't know. I don't know, man. It didn't hit for me as much.
Having John Wick in there. You can
Not just
you can
that, but like that
still leave. This
but
stiff
also
line
that
delivery.
his line delivery is funny. I wish
I
Luis
love
never pointed out
Keanu,
how he
bro.
says things.
I love Keanu, bro. But like, yeah, I'm thinking. I'm
Hanging out, oh, back. He sounds like he's scared he's gonna get interrupted at any moment, or like he's trying to remember it on the spot. Like it's improv, but it's definitely written on a page, and he's seen it before. He's like, "Whoa, I'm thinking you can leave." It's like ape together strong. It's gonna be his next scene. Like. I love you, Keanu Reeves. I swear. But Jesus,
and maybe it's a stylistic choice, like it's supposed to be part of his character or what. But I don't know. It
he
just
does
takes
get
me
hit
out
in
of.
the head a lot.
That's true. Maybe it's
He
the
maybe he's got like
CTE.
he's got it. Yeah, the seats, the the Gronkowski in him.
He's got that. He got that CTE, man.
That concussion.
Elite assassin though, and I
Oh
think
yeah,
what's going to work well too, if they're setting, they have set this up to where they can continue the franchise without John Wick. Since
mm,
well, for now, until the fifth one comes out, but he dies in the fourth movie. Spoiler: if you haven't seen John Wick 4 yet, he does
yeah.
die. Um, he's freed from his bonds to the assassin world, but they can continue very well with Ana de Armas. They have the Asian character. What was his name? Kane. That they could probably gonna do.
My boy Donnie Yen.
Yes, Donnie Yen.
I
I love
love.
Donnie Yen.
I do want to see him come back, and also the daughter of Hiroyuki
Mhm.
Sanada.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I
Forgot
want to
her
see.
character's
I want
name.
to see
That
her.
should come back too.
I want to see her story explored some more because I feel like that'll be fun.
Hmm. There's so much that they can do. Um, yeah. As long as they avoid doing another Continental series, please don't. I want
I
to see
think
them
these
do
things just work better as movies. I don't think they got the show formula down yet.
the way. Here's my idea. If they want to do the formula of the shows right, if they're doing the
Mhm.
Continental and it's based on just that one Continental, it's not going to do so hot. But if they do a Continental, it's like
Like
instead of doing a show based on the
multiple.
Continental, do the different assassin families. One each
Mhm,
season is
mhm.
one family. Season one, Ruska Roma, do like 10 episodes. Season two, whatever the other assassin family.
Like an
Season three,
anthology kinda
Yakuza.
thing.
Yeah, kind of anthology type thing.
That yo, Matt, we gotta start copywriting these.
I'm
We gotta
telling you, if you want it, Lionsgate, please. This is copyright material now that we took. We didn't borrow from. We didn't steal from your IP. We just come up with an
mm,
idea here. You cannot sue us legally. Please sign some contracts with us. Send me the paperwork. We'll get it set. We'll get it set up.
okay. Now, 2 points to this. what do you think is the coolest kill in this movie, and what do you think is the funniest kill in this movie?
Funniest kill, definitely the baker, bro. That plate shit was goofy as hell. The coolest kill, there's a couple. Honorable mentions at the end when she kills the chancellor dude. He's talking. I'm just like, just shoot him, and then she immediately just bam. I was like, yeah,
No,
thank
it's
you.
that's perfectly timed. It's right at the point where like you as an audience member is sitting there like, bro, why are you letting him
Yeah,
speak? Just get him out
like
of here.
just
And
shoot
she's
him.
like, does it
Just boom,
like she heard you talking to her.
just cooked his shit. I was like, that's perfect. That's how you do that. I think the
Amazing,
coolest kill
amazing.
probably be the same fight, the Baker fight, but the first guy who comes in, she just fucking him up across the room, or either that one or the what's it called? The guy that she kills in the door, like when she pulls off from the
Yes.
building, and then immediately comes the scene comes right back. I was like, that shit was
Mhm.
insane. She went crazy, cooked his ass.
That that is actually mine for coolest skill.
Yeah,
That's if I were James A. Janice of Dead Meat, I'd give that shit a golden chainsaw. That shit is fucking beautiful.
because the way
Dude,
that shot, she took off and then it just came right back and just start beefing.
it's beautiful. It's this beautiful, like, one take tracking shot of her from the roof, like, little attic area or that little storage place where she finds the grenades. She drops through the ceiling, right, after pulling the entire belt and throwing a guy down,
Oh,
and
we're talking
then
about two
as
different
there's
fights.
as there's a dude that's, like, around the door, she beats the dog shit out of him, right? Basically thrashing him around. For some reason, as I was watching it, I thought he looked like this one guy named Frank from, this channel Wizards with Guns that I watch, and I was like, "There ain't no way that she just killed my man's Frank like that." But she beats the shit out of this guy, puts a whole bunch of grenades on him, and then takes a steel door and bashes it on him, and while he's against the wall, makes like an explosion wall sandwich, and
Mm-hmm.
then it switches perspectives to the opposite side of the wall where there's this giant red smear where the guy formerly was and a bunch of scorch marks leading outward. And I'm just like, oh my God,
That guy got vaporized,
so
bro.
cool. And
That
then
guy got
funniest
obliterated.
funniest kill, I
I
would
think.
say has to go to I think I'm trying to think. That it's kind of a tie. I have a tie for funniest kill. It's between that guy that gets the axe to the face in the alleyway
Oh,
at the beginning of the movie,
yep. Mhm.
where she's just like, "Motherfucker," just stabs him in the face. It's between that one and then let me think. I would say next funniest kill. I would say goes to the two bickering assassins when the Continental Security gets them.
Oh
I
yeah,
did
when
the
they're like,
I when they're
she
like, "I
didn't
didn't do shit. I didn't do shit." It's like, "I didn't do shit. I did less shit than you." "No, no, no, and the guy's just like doesn't even snap. They just
immediately lit
open
him up.
fire and they kill both of them. And they're like they go to Eve and they're like, "You can check out now. You can leave
Hmm.
the premises. Goodbye."
Yeah, that shit
Now,
was funny. It was definitely a good air of comedy in this movie.
it was pretty solidly funny. And then what do you think of the villain? I don't know what the actor's name is, but I feel like he's been in some kind of like Nazi thing. I don't know why, because I feel like he's a good and glorious bastards type.
Gives you good villain energy, and
Yeah.
I feel like his motivations were
Weird?
weird and unclear,
Yeah.
and that's one of the things that took my rating down. I'm gonna read it off of Letterbox when we do our ratings in a little bit, but that took my
Mhm.
rating down a little bit because I was like, what is your purpose here? What's the point? You know?
Yeah.
And then this also the sister reveal. I was like, ah, ah, the whole you didn't know you had a sibling who was also an assassin, just on the opposite side of the assassin coin than you. It's like,
Yeah.
are we copying Fire Force here? What are we doing? Like, what we got going on,
It's
bro?
just
This
Shinra and
Shinran
Joe.
show. What are we doing, man?
It did feel cliche. Even when she first popped up at that one Continental and she increased the bounty on Norman Reedus, it still felt like I was like, oh, she's like her mom or her cousin or something
Yeah,
stupid.
she's got to
This
be
is
related to her.
it was the movie was trying. I realized this so much. They kind of parrot this a lot, but they use John Wick trying to get out, right? They use that other girl that they use the Yukio girl that they use for her test, right? And then there's that one girl where they're like, "Oh, she couldn't cut it as a ballerina." So, she's out the
Tatiana,
program or whatever.
and
Tatiana,
then
right?
they
They use
yeeted her out.
and then they also use like her sister, and it's this whole thing that the movie has of trying to really beat over the head this theme to the audience of like
She's alone.
mirrors, duality, think this could be you in the future, decisions, choices, and like it feels kind of repetitive
Mhm.
because it's a John Wick movie. It's not exactly the most groundbreaking thematic theme, right? Not even a John Wick movie. It's a John Wick spinoff at that, right? And while John Wick has that established theme, in the through line of choice and like finding peace and what that means to you and like making, peace with your past and all that, right? And being able to move on. It had 4 movies to really build on that theme. Could have
Mhm.
done it in 3, but it did in 4. This movie tries to do it in 1, and boy is that redundancy that's it's there. It's pretty loud. It's pretty fucking loud. But other than that, I think action-wise and some of the lines are a little bit too one-linery, I'd say. They don't feel like real lines of dialogue. They feel like trailer bait kinda.
Not as
But
bad
other
as
than
MCU.
not as bad as MCU, definitely not as bad as like pre-Thunderbolts MCU, but still, I'd say all in all, I'd give this like a 5. I'd give it a 3.5. I give it a three and
That
a half.
is,
It's above average.
it's right where I'm at. I got it
It's
pulled up right here.
yeah,
3.5 stars.
three,
My
three and a
rating.
half. Yeah, it's a
Because like
solid spin-off, but
it's not good
mm,
enough to get a 5. It's obviously not good enough to get a 5, and that's
no.
reserved for like elite cinema, your Dunes, your Top Gun Maverick, all of that. This is
Your
definitely
John Wick 4s.
John Wick 4. This is not a, but it's also it would have been a 4 if those two things I mentioned, they had cut the time down a little bit. And then what's the other thing I said? I forgot already. Oh my gosh. It's been a long day, guys. Had a few you
They
know
less
I
Wick,
forgot.
maybe.
But yeah, maybe yes, less Wick. That's why I said it felt like it was a little bit too much John Wick. Those two things kind of brought it down to that 3.5. But it's also not horrible. It's not
Yeah.
dog shit. It's a great film. It's a fun watch. I would watch it multiple times in the theater. I'm definitely going to watch it because it's streaming again. Because I want to now connect the entire John Wick franchise in timeline order, save for the Continental because I'm not watching that. Also, I don't have Peacock wherever it's on, so
No one has it.
sue me. But all
I
in
think,
all, oh, go ahead.
yeah. I think, yeah, I'd say all those points are valid. I'd say that's about where I'm at. I feel like a little a little less Wick in the finale would have been nice, just because it felt like it wasn't really strong enough to stand on its own, so it had to put Wick in there as like the Subway Surfers gameplay, basically to keep you invested in the finale. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the finale kind of had its own way to stand a bit on its own, but it introduced a lot of moving pieces that at a certain point I wondered why they weren't standing still. Like the little girl aspect where it like midway decides to kind of turn into like the Last of Us escort mission thing for like 2 minutes and then it goes back and then she's like, oh yeah, I forgot this little girl is here, so I guess I'll also save the girl, but that's not really
Mm-hmm.
her mission. And then it's like to kind of get out with her sister. It's weird. It's a lot of people's motivations kinda shift because the plot adds a lot to kinda pad the runtime sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and some of it's done effectively and some of it's not. But it's still above average from a lot of terrible things you could see, and it's still entertaining. It's a good time with the movies. I'd say 3.5 is fair.
I think
Yeah,
that last bit you
3.5.
mentioned too about the different motivations. Each film, each John Wick film past the first one kind of has that same not necessarily a problem, but that same situation. But the first one's very straightforward. They killed this man's dog that his wife had him get after she passed, and he was like, "I'm gonna fuck these guys up." That's all it was. He's fucking these dudes up. He's a super skilled assassin, and like everyone's scared shitless. The second and third movies is where it starts to shift a little bit. We got all these different things happening, different plot lines, not necessarily too different, but you know what I mean. There's different storylines happening in there. So, and then of course the fourth one is the culmination of all that. And this movie kind of does the same thing and mixes a bunch of different things happening, but it's not too clear as far as what is supposed to be going on. But we get it at the end of the day, and it was still a fun time. So 3.5 is valid. Agreed.
And you know what else we can agree on, Matt? Let's say we can agree that perhaps this has been a fantastic episode of the Sinestro Corps.
Agreed.
And that perhaps, and this is just a thought, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
On whatever platform you're on. And while you're out there on the platforms, maybe take a look at our homeboys over at Backstage OO for all the latest behind the scenes news and a little bit more buttoned up version of what we do. It's quite more impressive. They have more production value, and quite frankly, the chairs that they're hosted in are much more comfortable than the one I'm currently plastered in. But yeah, follow them on all platforms. They recently have been expanding their market across the greater United States, and honestly, great stuff out there. Speaking of great stuff out there, follow me. That's right, me at Tari Singo on all platforms. Today I did it. I actually did it on time. Whenever we do an episode, I streamed, and there's an actual bit of that stream that you can watch if you go to twitch.tv/Tari Singo. The other place that I have excellent things. I have games that I play. I have jokes that I make. Usually the games are a lot better than the jokes, but they're still pretty great. I also will hopefully have a video working in the next couple of weeks. I'm still getting in my creative groove, trying to figure out some inspiration. And speaking of inspiration, if you want to feel inspired and motivated on a consistent basis, follow us on all platforms at Sinestro Corp.
No S.
No S. I swear to God. Sorry. I mean, Ari, I wear to God. We legally cannot use the letter that shall not be named. So follow us on all platforms. That's Sinestro Corp, no S, because we have great stuff coming along the pipeline at some point.
Several cool things in the works. Trying to
Indeed.
finalize some of that now. Get that all buttoned up. But until next time, stay awesome. Brush your teeth, eat your Wheaties, and catch us on the next episode of the Sinestro Corps.
We're the kings of the screen, yeah. Cinestro Corps, we're the dream, yeah. New episode Saturday afternoon. We in your ear, that comic book crew. More good it takes, what we do. Cinestro Corps, we're the crew.